Good afternoon folks, welcome to Visordown and welcome to our review of the Suzuki GSX-S 1000GT. So if you're thinking about sort of really sporty bikes that have got comfort, that have got long range, that have got two-up potential and integrated luggage, up until now, there's probably only been a couple of bikes that really fit the bill. I'm talking Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX, BMW R1250 RS. Aside from that, if you want that true sports bike handling dynamic, there really isn't much to choose from in that sort of category. Not anymore, because the Suzuki GT has landed, and I'm going to call it the GT just simply because GSX-S 1000GT is a bit of a tongue twister. So the GT is here. It is 11,599 on the road. To put it into perspective, if you're looking at the other stuff in the class, really it is all about that price point, the Ninja 1000 SX and the BMW R1250 RS. The panniers that you can see here that we're using while we're riding the bike on the launch up in Scotland, these are a £900 option. There is a very valid reason for that, and that is because from the market research that Suzuki did, of the people who bought the previous generation, or the previous bike that sat in the range in this position, which was the F model of the GSX-S 1000, people who bought the bike either didn't opt for the panniers, or those who actually bought the panniers didn't really often use them. So it's giving the punter that choice of whether or not they want to take them. So these should be landing in dealers about the end of November time, and we're hoping that they're going to be landing on Press Fleet very soon so that we can give them our own full road test. So we need to delve into the bike in a little bit more detail. I'm going to start with the engine because it is a bit of a legend on two wheels. Inside the frame of this bike, we have got an inline four-cylinder engine that can trace its roots back to the GSX-R 1000K5. So it's a pretty legendary unit. It's been steadily honed and evolved over the years, mainly just jumping through the hoops of emissions regulations. And in its current form in the GT, we're pushing out about 150 brake horsepower and oodles of torque. This is a really, really torquey motor in the mid-range. It's got a gorgeous, gorgeous sort of mid-range area where third and even fourth gear overtakes from about 50 or 60 miles an hour. They don't really need any effort, and the bike never really seems like it's running out of puff in that situation. We have got updates though. I mean, it's not still the same K5 motor that it always was. We've got riding modes and we've got traction control, which is switchable. So it is a modern interpretation of the K5 engine. I, for one, think it is a really stunning motor, and there's a good reason that it's been around for so long, and that is because it is so damn good. And in this final iteration, the GT and also the GSX Naked that we rode a little bit earlier on this year, it's just a bike that begs to be ridden, and that's what I think. I kind of think of this bike as a performance GT. It's not in the realm of something that you're going to be buying if you don't ever want to go fast or you just want to sit on motorways. This is a GT that you can take out, you can enjoy it on twisties, and you can go and do some light continental tours if you wanted to. So like the engine on the GT, the chassis is quite a well-known sort of object. I mean, it's been around for quite a while in the GSX-S 1000F and also in the current GSX Naked. Really, the way that I would sort of pin this bike is that it's got the sporty handling dynamics, but it's also got the stability of pretty much anything else that you're going to ride. You can kind of feel GSX-R DNA when you get it out on the road. A big change for these models is the suspension. So we've got KYB fully adjustable suspension up front, and we've got a rear shock absorber that's adjustable for preload and rebound as well. Tuned differently to the Naked bike. So this bike's got a much plusher setup. The ride quality is really very good. I mean, some of the roads that we've been riding this thing on up in Scotland on the launch, they're not the best. There were some potholes, and you kind of hit them on this and it doesn't jar. It just feels a little bit like it's just gliding over everything. The only time that I really felt that the suspension was getting a little out of shape, or it wasn't quite keeping up with what the bike was doing, was on really sort of rippled surfaces, sort of like a washboard. And it's a similar sort of thing to I picked up on the GSX Naked launch. It's kind of, it almost hasn't got that sort of really fast rebound and damping just quite sorted. But for 99% of the time, for 99% of the riding that you're going to do, be it with one person on the bike or two up with luggage, I think it's going to be more than adequate. Another big area for an update this year is we've got a lovely TFT dash. The naked bike comes with an LCD, which is a little bit fussy. There's a lot going on in quite a small space. That's not the case with the GT. The GT's got a beautiful TFT dash, really, really nice and really, really clear. And Suzuki have even imitated, or replicated, should I say, an analog rev counter. So you get this nice rev counter whizzing round the dial as you open the thing up. Like the GT, the riding modes, the traction control and the quick shifter, those functions are all split out on this. So when you change the Suzuki drive mode selector from mode A, B or C, you don't alter the traction control or the quick shifter. It's all kind of in there, and you can alter them all individually. I mean, for me, I think that just makes it really, really simple, because you don't have to think about going to a specific mode for the way that you want to ride the bike or the conditions of the road that you're riding on. You can just literally fine tune it on the go, as long as you've got a closed throttle, and all the switch gears, really quite intuitive to use. It's quite impressive stuff. The keynote speech of any GT bike is not just the way it performs and the way it gets down the road, it's how comfortable it is. And I've got to say, I was quite impressed with this. This whole new rear subframe here is new for the GT model, so it's not the same as the one that's found on the naked bike. And what that's allowed Suzuki to do is just lower the seat rails ever so slightly and fit a plusher and more padded seat. So the rider comfort is actually really, really good. The rider triangle isn't too sporty, your legs aren't totally bent, but there is enough ground clearance there. You're not going to be decking the thing out every time you go round a roundabout. I do also like the inclusion of proper handlebars. So this hasn't got clip-on handlebars, it's got proper handlebars. While aesthetically they might not be the best looking things on the planet, they do give you loads and loads of leverage and control over the bike, and it also just puts you in this beautifully relaxed and neutral riding position. I'm pretty sure the pillion comfort's going to be as good, because that thing is pretty soft and pretty plush, and there's some nice big grab handles that you can get hold of there. So if you are looking at this as a two-up bike, I would consider it, definitely. I don't think you're going to have any issues whatsoever at that end. So another item, or some items that are kind of upgrading the comfort on it, we've got really thickly rubber damped foot pegs, and we've got rubber damped handlebars as well. So really, when you're riding along, and even when you're absolutely hammering this thing up to the red line in third and fourth gear, there isn't really any vibration to speak of. I mean, it's really serene, it's a nice place to be, and the front fairing and the screen does a really good job of keeping the worst of the wind and the weather off you, of which there has been a lot of wind and weather to combat with. So on that front, it's all really, really good. If you're a bit taller than me, I would probably say straight away go for the optional taller sort of touring screen. It's a little bit taller, a little bit more steeply angled at the front. Not the most attractive screen on the planet, but it is going to keep all the weather off you, and that is really what that is all about. If you want the more sleek sort of look, stick with the standard one. So another update for the GT that isn't on the naked bike is the addition of cruise control. It's a arm it with your right hand switch cube and then select it with the left hand switch cube and change your speed up and down. Absolutely fine, works a treat. No bells and whistles, there's no adaptive cruise control on it at all, but as we expect, this is a Suzuki and it is built to combat the sort of the budget, the price point area of the range, and it doesn't really need it in my sort of opinion. I don't really think many bikes do really need adaptive cruise control on that one. We've also got no IMU, so there is no sort of cornering ABS, there is no lean sensitive traction control. Again, we were riding it in some pretty shitty weather up in Scotland. These are sporty tyres, they're not the sportiest tyres you can go out and buy, but they are pretty sporty. And I never really felt like we were running out of grip or that the back end was getting untidy, and that's because you've got such a sweet throttle connection mated to an engine that's got an absolutely gorgeous delivery that you never really get yourself into trouble in that way unless you're being an absolute dick. Look, I'm not going to tell you which bike to go out and buy between this and the Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX. We're going to be booking both of them out for a head-to-head very soon, so that is kind of going to be what that video is all about. What I am going to tell you is that I spent a lot of time on the Ninja 1000 SX at the launch in Spain 2020, beginning of 2020, and we also did nearly 300 miles over 2 days on these on the launch up in Scotland. This to me feels a lot more like a sports bike with comfort options and a big fairing and a big screen and panniers and luggage attached to it. It feels more dynamic, it's got more sports bike like feel to it when you hit a twisty road. The engine as well as just, it's one of the best inline 4-cylinder engines that God created, and that's the reason that it's been around for so long. And when you combine that to a sporty yet comfortable chassis, you're really onto a winning combination. The one thing that I will say is that the Kawasaki Ninja 1000 SX is a slightly more luxurious place to be. They've designed the bike and the riding position and the suspension setup to just give you a really, really enveloping ride. It's like it hugs you as you ride it along. So if you're stepping down from sports bikes, I don't know, R1s, GSX-Rs, Hayabusas, and your wrist can't take it and your back can't take it and your other half's nagging you because you're always out breaking the law and getting speeding tickets, these are a really, really good option because you've still got that ability to go out on a Sunday afternoon with your mates and go and have a play and go and scrape some pegs and do all of that fun stuff. Yeah, you can calm it all down and you can cover some big mileage and just enjoy motorcycling instead of just enjoying that one ride on a Sunday with your mates. So these are going to be in dealerships by the end of November that we've been told. As I said, the price is $11,599. If you add the panniers on, that's a £999 option plus the fitting kit, which is included in that price. If you like what you see, give your local Suzuki dealership a call and get them to put you on the list for a test drive, and I will see you on the next one, folks. Cheers.